Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Stolen by Ehlers to Wheeler, back to Ehlers, scores!
Kyle Connor has the Midas touch right now.
And another outstanding stop by Connor Hellebuyck.
Check the shoot, score! Oh, what a slick move by Mark Scheifele.
Ground Control, the official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets, hosted by Jets TV.
The final week of the regular season is upon us, gentlemen. You're listening to Ground Control, the official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets. The gentlemen I refer to are my esteemed colleagues, 680 CJOB's Jamie Thomas, and of course, Jets TV's Mitchell Clinton. Fellas, let's recap the last week before we get into the goings-on this week. And last week constituted a 2-1 tight loss to the Ottawa Senators on Monday. And then they ended that 7-game slide with a 4-0 rout over Calgary to end a 3-game road trip. And then, of course, on Saturday evening at Bell MTS Place, the Winnipeg Jets fall 4-2 to the Ottawa Senators. And Tim Stützle with a little hat trick, the first of his NHL career. And I'm sure he'll have a few more before the career is out for that young German. Mitchell, just maybe recap the week for us. Obviously, the Winnipeg Jets got that much-needed win in Calgary to get the good feelings going.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing that you take out of the week. Number one, you get that victory and that slide comes to an end, even though, and I thought this was an appropriate statement. I can't remember whether it was Paul Maurice or one of the players that mentioned it, kind of in and around the 4 or 5 game part of the skid, where he says, usually, you start playing better and start doing good things before the results show up. And that's really seemed to happen. I mean, against the Ottawa Senators early in the week in that 2-1 loss, Ottawa didn't have a whole lot going. I mean, they had 18 shots on goal. I think that was a season low for the Winnipeg Jets in terms of the amount that they gave up. Jets held the edge in high danger chances, shot attempts. I mean, you name it. They were all over Ottawa. It was just goaltending. And then Ottawa was very opportunistic and got the game winner with about a minute 13 to go in regulation. So that was a tough loss. So then you go into Calgary, the team that obviously eliminated you last year from the return to play in the summer. And then the Jets put forth, I thought, just a real solid effort. I mean, the power play got on the board. That was a big thing. Mark Scheifele gets his 500th point. Blake Wheeler gets his 800th point. Lowry scores twice in his second game back. Blake Wheeler gets a couple. It just seemed that things were starting to roll a little bit there. And then you come in and you're back at home, and the first game back from a road trip has kind of always been a little bit of a challenge for the Winnipeg Jets this year. But still, I thought they played well in the first period. Yeah, they were down 2-0 on 2 goals in about a minute 16, both of them kind of deflection goals by the Senators, who, after that win on Saturday, they're 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. And Paul Maurice kind of talked about how, it's not meant as a bit of disrespect. It's just like they have nothing to play for, so they're playing a little bit more free. But that being said, I mean, Ottawa has been a team that's been an absolute handful for a lot of teams over the last probably couple of weeks or so, dating back to mid-April. I mean, their penalty kill has given the Jets some fits. Now, that being said, the Jets had opportunities on the power play in the first period against Ottawa on Saturday. But Ottawa's penalty kill in the last, since mid-April is second best in the NHL. So it's not like, the Jets just weren't doing their job. It's just Ottawa was doing very well in the penalty kill. So obviously, yeah, you would have liked to have followed up the win over the Flames with another victory on Saturday to really get that good feeling cemented. But I think if you can take some sort of a long range look at it, the Jets are really reducing those transition chances against. And that's the biggest thing that Paul Maurice wants to see come out of the game. Now, will the offense start to roll again? That's, I think, what they're hoping. Andrew Kopp spoke on Sunday about the importance of, increasing some zone time and maybe getting the D a little bit more involved in the offensive zone, but we'll see kind of how that plays out. But the main thing for the Winnipeg Jets right now, especially given who they're going to be going up against in the postseason, you have to be able to limit those chances, those rush chances against. And so that seems to be the main goal right now.
Jamie, I think Paul Maurice said earlier in the week, he talked about, just because you're not getting the results you wanted doesn't mean you're not playing the right way. But obviously they get that result in Calgary. What are the positives you take from that and then carry that forward into this final week of the regular season?
Well, I think first and foremost with the win in Calgary is just, Paul Maurice is saying to the group, this is the way you have to play to be successful in the playoffs. This is the game that you have to play. It hasn't worked out. And finally you get, that win in Calgary to prove, not that the players didn't know that's the way and you have to do that, be successful, but to get that and clinch a playoff spot says a lot about what they were doing. You get Connor Hellebuck had 4 days rest. He comes back and plays a solid, because I thought his play had slipped a little bit, not a lot, but I think with everybody in the group and during that 7-game losing streak, everyone had their moments that things weren't working so well. So for him to come back and get a shutout, you get a power play goal there, like Mitch said, even a shorthanded goal, you had a little bit of everything. And man, if Andrew Klopp scores on the penalty shot, you got a perfect little night there as well in Calgary. So many things to take from. And then you see how Josh Morrissey and Neil Pionk work together. You also get a good look at Ville Heinola. Paul Maurice expected a lot more pressure and forechecking and physicality from the Flames to see if Ville Heinola can handle those types of things, because certainly that's what you're going to get in the playoffs. But still, Heinola handled himself very well. So everyone chipped in that night, and that's what you're going to need in the postseason. So there's just so many things you can take from that game in Calgary that you can move with going down the road here in the final 3 games.
Mitch, Jamie just touched on it right there. Ville Heinola, he got in for 2 straight games. What did you see from the young Finn in those 2 contests?
A real confident player. I mean, obviously the games that he's been able to get in, whether it's at the American Hockey League level, he started in the Finnish Liga this year. He played in the World Juniors. I mean, he's had a busy yet somehow long season. But I think he said it probably best. He just feels more confident in his body out there. And obviously, he's a guy that's 5'11", based on, the height that's listed on the team's website. So he's not going to be a guy like Logan Stanley that's going to grab a guy and push him off the puck. He's going to have to do it body position wise. And that's the same for the battles in front of the net. And I thought over the last couple of games, he's done quite well. Like, listen, Ville Heinola is always going to be able to move the puck. That's what he's really good at. I thought it was exciting to see him get some power play time when Neil Pionk wasn't available to play on Saturday. The Jets sat him for some maintenance / health reasons to make sure he's good to go for the postseason. But I thought it was cool to see him in that spot running that second unit, and very nearly had an assist in the opening period on a real nice passing play that just didn't work out. But he played, just under 14 minutes against the Calgary Flames. Like Jamie said, that was a game that Paul Maurice wanted to see how he would handle a physical forecheck. They maybe necessarily didn't see it as much from the Flames as they anticipated. So he goes back in against the Ottawa Senators. And I thought, in his just under 18 minutes, he hit 3 shots on goal, had some power play time, like I mentioned, and made some really nice plays with the puck to be able to get it up to the wingers, which is the main thing that you want from the Winnipeg Jets defenseman in the defensive zone. I thought he did a lot of good things. So be interesting to see how it plays out over the rest of the week. I know Paul Maurice wants to see some different defensive pairs, and Tucker Poolman doesn't skate on Sunday, so that was a maintenance thing as well. But you never know if he, like Pionk, might be held out of a game here and there. So there's a lot of question marks in terms of the back end, in terms of what it might look like and what Paul Maurice wants to see from them. But I think Ville Heinola has shown himself quite well over the last couple of games.
Speaking of good showings, Jamie, obviously a couple really big milestones for 2 Winnipeg Jets forwards. Blake Wheeler hitting the 800-point mark for his career, and Mark Scheifele hitting the 500-point mark in his career. And Blake Wheeler's finding himself on a 6-game point streak right now. Mark Scheifele became the 3rd forward on the Jets this season with 20 goals. Maybe just touch on those 2 milestones and what they truly mean.
Well, first off, it comes together. It comes from Mark Scheifele passing to Blake Wheeler. So that ties in perfectly to me. And one thing I also didn't touch on, and what that win in Calgary was, the Jets finally got some puck luck, right? And you leading up to that play, the Flames had a chance to clear the puck out and they don't. And then Chris Tanev and Mark Giordano run into each other, which leaves Blake Wheeler wide open in front of the net. So finally some puck luck in the hard work that they're getting. But they've been together for so long and they've had so many achievements together. So it only makes sense that they combine on huge milestones for both players. Blake Wheeler's kind of got this is probably the quietest 6-game point streak he's had in the 4 years I've been in Winnipeg covering this hockey team. So, there was a lot of criticism earlier in the year about how he was playing. Now that criticism has quieted down quite a bit. He's done a great job here. And that top line, along with Kyle Connor, is going to be leaned on heavily here in the playoffs. And now that they're getting things going here, I think it's important to have that. So Blake Wheeler's going, Mark Scheifele is getting going here, got his 200th goal the other night as well. So some big milestones out of the way. And Paul Maurice gets his 300th win in Winnipeg as well. So lots of good things come out of that. And, despite the results Saturday, the result against the Ottawa Senators, I think this is trending in the right direction, in my opinion, for the Winnipeg Jets.
Just a quick note on Blake Wheeler. The pass to Mark Scheifele at the end of the third period, essentially for that second Winnipeg Jets goal against Ottawa, was elite. Yeah. Like the arc on that sauce pass on the tape. I mean, that's who Blake Wheeler is. He's an elite passer. Speaking of elite, Adam Lowry joined us for the podcast. He is elite in many facets, and speaking is one of them. We had a chance to sit down with Adam Lowry. We talked about Mother's Day. Obviously, we record this on Sunday, which is Mother's Day, and a whole heck of a lot of other things. We talk about oil changes, golf, dogs, the whole gambit. So enjoy.
Shop where the players shop. Jets Gear and TrueNorthShop.com are your authentic team stores. Make sure to stock up on all your favorite Winnipeg Jets and Manitoba Moose merchandise today. Visit one of the 5 Jets Gear locations or shop online at TrueNorthShop.com.
Hi, this is Adam Lowry, and you're listening to Ground Control, the official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets.
Joined here by Adam Lowry on Ground Control, the official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets. Adam, we're recording this on Mother's Day. You're obviously here in Winnipeg. Your mom, Elaine, isn't. What do you have planned for Elaine today?
Usually I let my older sister take care of the gifts. She's better at making sure there's something thoughtful. So we all talk about it, and she usually takes care of it. And then we'll probably get on a group FaceTime and wish her happy Mother's Day.
I don't want to have yourself throw you under the bus, but are you one of those guys that is like, okay, Mother's Day is tomorrow, we better get something for her, or are you ahead of the game?
Usually we're pretty good. I think having an older sister that's pretty on top of these things, she usually makes sure well in advance that these things are taken care of, and she's also a mother, so happy Mother's Day to Sarah and Elaine, I guess.
Last one about your mom. Obviously she came on the mom's trip and you got hurt in that first game. Now, do you look back at that as just kind of like you shrug and laugh about it, how like it was sort of a Murphy's Law type thing?
Yeah, well, I think it was unfortunate. I was looking forward to having her and being healthy on the trip, and having her be able to watch me play in a couple different rinks, but obviously she got to see a period, and then we got to spend some quality time together. I remember coming off the flight, we were in Chicago and we're flying to Carolina, it was, and I'm in a sling there. They're trying to tell me to stop moving my shoulder kind of thing, and I'm not struggling with my bags, but it's not the easiest. It's not the most graceful way to. I'm getting it off the airplane, and my mom keeps trying to grab my bag. She keeps trying to the motherly thing, like, let me grab that. Oh, let me help you with your dress shirt. Let me get your coat on. And I'm looking at her, and finally I had to say, Mom, you got to stop, because if you weren't here, I'd have to figure out a way to do this. But it was. The silver lining of that trip was I got to spend a lot of quality time with her, throughout the days, mostly on game days. If I was playing, I'd maybe see her in the morning, and now, I had full day of activities. I got to hang out with her for about a week. So that was nice to have her around for that.
That's good. Shifting over to the hockey side of things, obviously the news broke a few weeks back that you signed the 5-year deal. Congratulations, by the way. What goes into a decision like that? I mean, obviously there's the hockey side of it, but to me there's got to just be a bunch of different things that have to fall into place for you to make that choice.
Yeah, well, thank you. First and foremost, I wanted to stay in Winnipeg. It's the team that drafted me. It's the team that I broke into my professional career in St. John's with, and then I got my opportunity to play in the NHL. And I've been here for so long. Everything's so familiar. I enjoy playing in front of the fans. I enjoy the group of guys we have here, the training staff. Everyone in this organization is fantastic, and so there was a lot of different factors. My girlfriend's from here, and that was kind of a bonus that we get to stay. I think she was really happy about that as well. So, a lot of different things go into it, and I was very happy that we were able to come to a deal, and a deal that, hopefully keep me here for a very long time.
You mentioned, when you signed the deal that you had the back and forth with Chevy about wanting to sign during the season, and they were able to get that done for you, even though they typically don't do that. What was that like, and just what did it mean for you to have them do that for you?
Yeah, well, I was getting an oil change actually when he called me, and it was about a week before the trade deadline, and it's not too often that the general manager is calling you. So at first my heart sinks a little. I'm like, maybe maybe I was a part of a package or something like that, and so then I answer the call, and we have a quick discussion, and it always feels good to know that they want to make you a priority and they want to keep you. So. I was real happy when that happened, and I was looking forward to kind of getting those talks underway, and fortunately it happened pretty quickly, and I was able to get 5 years, and having my dad here and some of my family here, it's been awesome.
What does it mean for you to be able to sort of be part of that culture moving forward and create that culture and dictate what happens here down the stretch?
Yeah, well, I think it's important. I've played under a lot of great leaders, and I've learned from some really good captains and some really good veteran guys throughout my career here. And as you get older, you kind of want to start becoming that guy. And where maybe young guys come to you if they have questions about things off the ice, or they are struggling a little bit on the ice, and just try and continue to build a culture where we expect to win, and we become a team that is kind of talked about every year with a chance to win the Stanley Cup. So I'm looking forward to those challenges over the next 5 years.
Offensively, you're having one of your best seasons, considering we've only played about just over 50 games. And you've always said that, your job is to be good in the defensive zone, win faceoffs, those types of things. But just what do you attribute the offensive success to? Is it a product of those around you, or have you made personal changes on the ice?
Oh, some of it I think comes down to, a bit of luck. Obviously, you feel like I'm getting some more bounces this year as opposed to last year. But, I think coming off of last year, I wasn't really thrilled with how I played. I wasn't, thrilled with my production on the ice or my contributions. And, over the pause and over kind of the break, and I was able to kind of look at my game, watch some film, and see areas where, in games where I was good, and see areas where in games where I wasn't good, and, what the difference was. And, small changes that, and little tweaks, where instead of drifting away from a pile where the puck is, and, you start coming to it, you stay in the fight a little longer rather than, getting pushed to the outside. Things like that where, now you're getting these second and third opportunities instead of being one and done. So, I think it's just a combination of, some little things and little changes I've made, and then obviously you look at what Copper and Appy have been able to do this year. They're having terrific years in themselves, and so some of it's a product of my line mates as well.
You mentioned Mason Appleton. Just what have you seen from him this year that's allowed him to take the step he has?
Well, I think it's just a confidence in knowing that he's kind of solidified his role and solidified his spot, and he continues to get better. I think you saw the production of what he was able to do in the American League, and the points he was able to produce. And so we always knew that he kind of had this potential, and now that he's got that confidence, he's able to hang on to the puck. He's got tremendous speed, and he makes really smart plays with the puck. So, it's been kind of nice learning and growing that chemistry with him. He reminds me a little bit of Rusty, Brandon Tanev, just with the speed, maybe not necessarily as fast, but maybe a little more under control. So it's been nice kind of having that speed on the right side, being able to throw some pucks there and, watch him chase it down.
Last few for you. Obviously the pandemic has, been a tough time for everybody. What are you looking forward to most to having back to normal, I guess in air quotes?
Well, I think travel and being able to, go see family, go see friends. I have a lot of family out in Ontario and BC, and, it'd be great to be able to go see them, maybe a golf trip, go somewhere nice, go somewhere warm, go see some palm trees, things like that. So, I'm really looking forward to that. But I think first and foremost is just, the ability to spend time with my friends and family, and, not have to worry about, wearing a mask or physical distancing, things like that, playing cards with buddies.
Second last one. There seems to be quite the big dog craze on the team. Obviously, Scheifele got a dog prior to the season. Josh Morrissey just got one. Are you a dog guy? Is there a dog in your future?
So I'll start this. I do really enjoy dogs, at this point in my life, I like the freedom of not having a dog.
Very fair. And last one, you're a golfer. You talked about that. What's your dream foursome? Which 3 players would you like to play? It doesn't matter if they're a golfer, which human being?
That's a tough question. I'll say Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, and then the fourth one's tough. Maybe we'll say George Washington.
There you go. All right, thanks, Adam. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Moving and shooting. He scores!
Tune in to Jets TV Live after every home game for highlights, analysis, and all the post-game comments live. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and the Winnipeg Jets mobile app.
Thanks to Adam Lowry for taking the time to join the podcast. He had a busy Sunday, included practice. He had like a 10-minute media availability, and then he took the time to sit down with me for that little chat. So thank you to Adam, as always. All right, moving on. The Winnipeg Jets have 3 games remaining on the schedule. All 3 of them are here in Winnipeg at Bell MTS Place. They take on the Vancouver Canucks on Monday and Tuesday in a back-to-back situation. And then the final game of the regular season comes on May 14th against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And that one's an interesting one because there could be something on the line for the Winnipeg Jets. There could be nothing on the line for both teams. So just Mitchell, what are you looking forward to as the schedule closes out and we shift into the playoffs?
Well, I think that game, oddly enough, that you mentioned against the Toronto Maple Leafs, I don't know how much there will be to play for the Maple Leafs. They clinched the North Division on Saturday, this past Saturday. So they know where they're finishing. It's just a matter of who they're going to play. And that battle seems to be coming down to the Jets and the Montreal Canadiens, who the Toronto Maple Leafs beat back on Saturday. So it'll be interesting to see if that game has any implication on that. And also the approach that the Toronto Maple Leafs will be taking. We talked about how the Jets have been kind of taking a little bit of a maintenance perspective on anybody that's not at least 98%, So it'd be interesting to see if the full Toronto Maple Leaf lineup plays that night. But then you got Laurent Brossoit getting the start on Monday, according to Paul Maurice today. So Brossoit will start in goal against the Vancouver Canucks on Monday. Canucks, obviously a team that the Jets haven't seen for quite a while, but the Canucks have had some success at Bell MTS Place, just as the Jets have had success in Vancouver. So, the Jets will be trying to right that ship. But ultimately for the Jets, of course, this is all about preparing for whenever game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs starts. So you're going to see them continue that theme of trying to limit the rush chances against and then trying to generate as much zone time as possible. Andrew Kopp, I thought, broke it down really well on Sunday. So make sure you head to winnipegjets.com, click Jets TV, and you can watch his entire media availability, who, like Adam Lowry, I think he went about 8 to 10 minutes. But one of the questions was just about, what the game kind of has to look like. And he said, the main reason that the Jets aren't getting those transition chances that they had early in the season is because teams aren't playing that game now. They're trying to make the Jets go 200 feet. How many times have you heard Blake Wheeler and Mark Scheifele and Andrew Kopp say that about what they want to do to the other team? So it's almost like, these teams are playing this postseason style of game that is forcing the Jets to go 200 feet. So the Jets can't capitalize on those turnovers at the offensive zone blue line and go back the other way with speed. They have to be able to manufacture that speed from their own end. And then when you work so hard to do that and then get into the offensive zone, now you need to generate some zone time and keep the other team there so that not only do they have to go 200 feet when they get the puck back, but they're probably going to be tired from, having to defend for 20 to 30 seconds in that zone. So obviously I think that's going to be the main focus. And then I think the offensive game will slowly start to come for the Jets. It's generating offense in a little bit of a different way, but Paul Maurice earlier in the year liked how direct the Jets offense is. Perhaps it's just, recommitting to that and then making sure they get bodies in front of the opposing net. So that'll likely be a point of focus over this week as well.
Jamie, to wrap things up, we talk about that final game of the regular season could be a big one. It could be nothing. But as of where we stand right now, all signs are pointing to the Edmonton Oilers being the Winnipeg Jets' first round playoff opponent. Mm-hmm. Just how do you see the two teams matching up? And I mean, let's take away the regular season series. Let's throw that in the corner and it can just sit over there and stew. But I think it just matters how those teams are going to be playing at that current moment. And what happened in the past is in the past, and you got to look forward. So with all that in mind, how do you see the two teams matching up in that first round, if that's where we end up?
Oh, I'll go back just one thing on the regular season matchup though, Tyler. It was just that 6-1 loss at home ice was the low point for this hockey club, right? So now you've built off that and you've accepted the fact that you got to play playoff style hockey, get comfortable with that. That's the only thing you take away from the regular season series. Going into the playoffs against the Edmonton Oilers, if that is their matchup, I think you go with how well the Lowry line went up against the McDavid line in their final regular season meeting. You also look at, you're going to have to cut back on your rush chances, which they've been working on. So if you cut back on that, I think they match up very well with the Edmonton Oilers. Another factor in this one entirely is Mike Smith. Mike Smith has played so well against the Jets, but the one thing they've been working on, they will continue to work on if they run up against them, is you got to figure out a way to make it harder for Mike Smith to play the puck. And he's going to end up with it, but Paul Maurice pointed out he's made mistakes too handling the puck. So you just capitalize on those when they pop up. It is going to be physical series. Finally, some emotion is going to be there too as well. And I know there's not going to be fans in the building, but now here's the playoffs. It's been hard manufacturing emotion during this season because of no fans in the building. That's going to come into play. And I think that's where you're going to see the Jets elevate things to where they need to go. Specialty teams clearly going to be a big factor in this. The penalty kill has resolved itself since Adam Lowry returned to the lineup. So that's going to play a large role in this, but where they match up, I think, is very even. So many ways. They're very similar in some ways, but to me, goaltending is going to be, Connor Hellebuck's going to have to be better than Mike Smith flat out in this series if they run into one another. And then specialty teams, and the fact that Jets can roll 4 lines a lot better and with more results than the Edmonton Oilers do, I think that's going to play a big role in this series as well. So I know when the match is finalized, we're going to break this all down. But to me, those are the things. Connor Hellebuck could be better than Mike Smith, specialty teams, and the fact that Jets can roll 4 lines and be okay with it will play a role in them beating the Edmonton Oilers.
Before we wrap things up here, obviously we record this on Sunday. It's Mother's Day. I'm going to put you all on the spot, and I see Mitchell's just scrolling on his phone right now, so he's not even in the right.
Pay attention, Mitchell.
To answer this question.
Pay attention.
I'm paying attention.
Do you guys have any good mothers and hockey mom stories that tie in, whether it was when you were a kid or now that you work in the game? Just any good stories, tie-ins with your mom?
Go ahead, Mitch.
Well, I mean, for me, like, my mom's been a huge part of my life, whether it's at the hockey rink or otherwise. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I could always tell where my mom was in the rink because she had these certain mitts that she would clap together whenever something good happened on the ice, and they were just really, really loud. So I could tell where she was at all times. But then, it comes to, you get into this type of business and everything, and she's a huge Jets fan. So, whether it's a tough loss or a big win, I can kind of always count on, I'm going to have a text from her after the game. And, sometimes, especially, back in the day when we would all kind of be traveling, sometimes with the rush of post game and everything, I probably wouldn't get back to the text until the next morning or whenever we landed in the next city or however it would be. And she would just be like, oh no, like, you don't have to, like, don't feel like you have to answer at that time. It's just what I'm thinking at the time about the game. And so you always kind of appreciate getting those texts and whatnot. So obviously looking forward to the time that, the world, the province, the country is back at a point where we're all going to be able to see our moms in person again, for, and not over, say, Zoom or anything like that. So she's obviously been a massive part of my life and continues to be that. So looking forward to the day that I can see her and hang out with her and talk Jets, talk Blue Jays, talk golf, you name it. She'll talk any sport with you. So really looking forward to that day.
Jamie?
Well, okay. So your mom's always your biggest fan, no matter what. I think there's hard to find anybody out there that wouldn't say that about their mom. So when I first got into television way back in 1998, my mom took a photo of me on the TV, blew it up and put it in a frame for me as a present. So I've got this framed photo of myself on television in my room when I lived in Lethbridge. And I said to my mom, I go, I'm going to look totally arrogant, Mom, with this. Here's a photo of me on TV. So that I remember that. And my mom has become a huge Winnipeg Jet fan since I moved down here and started working with them. So even last year with the Flames and Jets playing each other in the playoffs, even the other night, she said, I'm more than happy if the Jets qualify for the playoffs, beating the Flames. Which turned out to be that way. So she is wherever I'm working, she's the fan of that team. Never for the Toronto Maple Leafs though. So, but other than that, she's been along the ride for it. So happy Mother's Day, Mom. And I haven't seen you since October, so I look forward to the day that we get to come back to Alberta and see you in a safe manner, of course. Tyler.
Yeah, just quickly for myself, I mean, a lot of what you guys talked about, applies, I think, to my situation too. I think some of the things that I think about most are, my mom works in education, and as I'm sure many educators know, Sunday night is a busy night, whether you're getting ready for the week ahead or marking tests and assignments. And she would come to every single hockey game, even though I'm sure she had other things to do that night. And the other one too is just I refereed hockey for, I think about 15 years. And, when I was starting out in my career and then doing playoff games, and she would come and watch and just make sure that people were being respectful of her son. And now I'm curious what would have happened if someone wasn't. I'm not quite sure what would have happened, but and then like you guys mentioned too, just she's become a huge Jets fan. I think she always was, but once she started working for the team, she's all in, she's invested. She usually texts me after every game, and you bet ya if I end up on the TSN or Sportsnet broadcast on the bench or wherever, I'll be getting a picture of myself. So that way I just kind of know what I look like every once in a while. She needs to remind me. So Mom, I love you. Thank you so much for all that you do, and all the mothers out there. Have a happy Mother's Day. And of course, thank you for listening to Ground Control, the official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets. The next time you hear from us, it's the playoffs, baby. Enjoy.
This has been Ground Control, the official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets, hosted by Jets TV. For Jets news, videos, and more, head to winnipegjets.com.